Collaboration Conversations. I'm your host, Regina Partain Bergman, CEO of Bridgeport Strategy and co founder of the CEO Holy Grail. I am delighted once again to bring to you an amazing panel of folks to talk about collaboration. And my guest co-host, I want to welcome her this morning, or this afternoon. Wherever you are in the world, it's going to be different. This panel is international and all kinds of time zones. So we're going to have fun with this. But my guest co-host today is Carolyn Williams, and she is the founder of For My Card. And I'm sure we will hear some more about that. Welcome, Carolyn. Thank you so much for being our guest co-host today.
Thanks, Regina. This is always a good time. So it's and
Awesome.
these are three people that mean a lot to me, and I know them from networking and collaboration. So I thought they were
Excellent.
perfect.
Perfect. Carolyn, would you start us off by sharing with us a bit about your journey getting to this place in life and who you serve and why that's important to you?
It was rather accidental. We've been in the commercial graphic arts world for to almost 40 years. So close. I mean, come on, let's just say 40 years, and longer than we haven't been. I was an incoming leadership president of a networking group, and I wanted to do really well, right? So again, this is a team where we collaborate and we share referrals with one another and help like recession proof each other's businesses. So I wanted to do really well for them, and I was going to go to Michael's and get this whole setup that I had in my mind of how everyone's business card could get out the door. When my husband said, just give me a day, maybe two. Within 2 hours, he goes, look at your phone. And there was a text and a link. And I touched the link and up popped my business card, the way it looked, printed front and back. And it was a touch to call and a touch to email. So we did that. We did it for the whole team. And we were able to use that. Not only did we grow our team to the number one chapter in our area, but the number one chapter in the region, the Southeast at that time. And it started getting more attention than people asking me about how can I get my stuff printed, and can you do this? And so but we could do the same mission or envision for this if we made it its own company. And that when we originally sat down to create artistic images, it was like, how can we help other people get what they want and succeed? That's what we want to do. And For My Card does that as well.
I love that. I love that. And it's international now, obviously. The folks in this room are users of your card, right? Or some at least.
So what's crazy, it was that I never thought a business person in Japan would ever use our service. So when we started getting 2020, when the people around us were saying the world's shutting down, it was like, no, look, the world opened up.
Exactly.
We'd be on this call together today if that craziness didn't happen and we were able to reach out to one
Isn't
another
that the
and
truth?
support
It was such a horrific time in so many ways, but the world opened up in other ways. And
it.
many of us do business and know folks and have friends internationally all over the world that we wouldn't have had before, and opportunities to help others. Yeah, the opportunities are endless now to reach out and help others around the world. So yeah, I love that, Carolyn. Thank you. Would you please introduce each of our guests
Mhm.
and have them share a bit about their journey, who they serve, and why that's important to them?
Absolutely. And like I said, we all know each other. I'm trying to think. I think this is the right order of how I met each person. So I think it was April
Okay.
1st. April 1st, no fooling. We were guest speakers at an international conference, and they had a backstage, and that's where we met. And frankly, I thought I was finished with exclusive networking groups until I met April. I met April and Tara at the very same time. And Tara was nice enough to introduce us, Regina. So, April, would you like to say more of who you are, what you do, who you serve?
Sure. Yes, April O'Connor, and I started a business, Inspired Human Connections. And I just got to say, Carolyn and I at that conference, we were the best dad joke to fill the room. We tell good dad jokes. But no, I basically kind of just going back, just really quick. I played basketball and I was a point guard. So I tell this story, and that's where it started my career. I loved bringing the ball up. I loved passing it. And there was like a collaboration and a team. So when I got in the business world, that kind of carried over. And I was a door opener, a hunter, and I love making the connections to all different industries. So I too was in a previous networking group that was industry exclusive, got exposed to that very early in my 20s. I liked some of what I had there and some things I didn't. So like what an entrepreneur does, you create your own thing. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this is what I'm going to do different. So when I moved kind of around in different jobs, I jokingly say I have job ADD. And I used to, now that I'm in my 50s, I used to be like, oh, I got bored here. But it's all come together to do what I'm doing now as Inspired Human Connections and being a resource to business owners. When I moved to South Florida, I ran into a franchise called Network Lead Exchange. And I said, oh, here's a concept. Oh, and I can monetize all this work that I'm doing and networking. So it's twofold. Inspired Human Connections is connecting good humans to good humans. So if you have a reason to collaborate, I know, Regina, you have a great sense of this too, how we bring people together, kind of quickly like, hey, I think this person should meet this person. So I like to be a matchmaker. And then I also own franchises, Network Lead Exchange, that I run industry exclusive groups, and I sell the franchises as well.
Interesting. I'd not heard of those.
We hope you hear more.
Yeah.
Yes. I imagine I will.
I'm a rather new Network Lead Exchange owner as well. So April and I do a lot of back and forth, just even sometimes 2-second conversations about what are you doing with this and how did you get that? What's working for you this week?
Isn't it great to have that support?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes. That human to human support.
Yes.
For sure. And then Misty and I met, and then she created her own networking groups that are great fun and really good connections. The people get it. They understand what networking is without having to be like the formal, fill out this form and join this organization. And Misty has a passion to want to help as many people as possible. And that's kind of the thought behind For My Card, why we keep the price point so low. And so Misty, you want to explain more? Because you do such a great job. She actually teaches you how to explain who you serve and how.
So I'm a salesman by trade. I've always wanted to be a salesman. I like the idea of selling and being in charge of your own money. So over here in Australia, you get paid to work in a salesman's job, but if you sell more than you're expected, there can be commission in there as well. And I always like, you watch movies, American movies, and you get tips at a cafe or as a barmaid or something like that. So I was a barmaid for 10 years. But we don't get tips over here. And I still think that if I was to go over there, I would make so much money over America. It's really good. And but it's all just about to me, the collaboration part is just making people feel good. So I remember the last pub that I worked at, there was a young policeman that happened to be off duty this particular day, and so he was just in the pub and he was having a drink and he was chatting to all the regulars that were in, and some guy was traveling through and he said, wow, that guy seems to know everything about town, because he didn't know he was a policeman, right? So it said, oh yeah, he's really good, he knows everything that's going on in the news, everything that's happening in town, he can chat about anything. He said, me, I know nothing about the news. You give me a newspaper, I can't even remember the article on the front page. And the guy said to me, he said, you've got something that's even more important than that. And I said, what is it? So I'm about 27, right? And he said, you have the ability to make people feel good. Now, I kind of knew this as a barmaid. Like I would say to my mom would say, you're just a barmaid. I said, I'm not just a barmaid. I'm the best barmaid in the world. People come in with no money and leave with less money. Don't blame me for it and come back the next day. And that can only happen if they feel good. And then this guy said it and I've gone, oh yeah, that's kind of a thing. And so that's how I do it. I make people feel good inside the space that they learn to get along. So when I started running Business at Breakfast, which is ultimately BNI for free, it was 17 BNI members had lost their chapters in Canberra. And so they joined together to do BNI for free. And after a year, they'd collected literally no one. And they said, how do we grow this? And I said, it's all in the inviting stage of making people feel good. networking groups tend to, when visitors come in, you tend to sort of lean over them and go, oh my God, there's a new person here, they might stay. And of course that person goes, oh my God, what have I just walked into? And so my task, as I saw it, was to teach people to not breathe in their face the moment a new person walks in, but to learn to say, oh, you're new, come in and sit next to me. And then COVID hit. So we used to have 45 people each week at the meetings that I ran face to face, like that I ended up in, teach them. I fell in love with the group. I stayed forever. I've been there for like 10 years, but I now do it online. And the goal is to have over 500 people come to the meetings each year. And so far we've had 215, and that's the line that people say, is they say, it is the friendliest group. It's funny, friendly attracts friendly, but it's learning how to say, come on in, we're so excited to have you here. And as a result, I don't teach referrals. I teach how to get your own work. I'm a sales trainer. I teach you how to get your own work. But as a result, people have learned to just come on in, sit next to me. What is it that you do? Sit down and just have them sit next to them. And that collaboration of, I'm getting used to you. I've seen you turn up a few times, and what is it that you do exactly? And I don't understand. Like, the collaboration happens because we've gotten used to someone rather than breathe on someone. So yeah, that's how I do it. Gently.
I like that.
And an author and a sales trainer. So there's lots of great courses that you offer online.
Yeah, and I'm like Caroline. Like, what I loved most about Caroline is she's come out and she'd say she had this digital business card. Then one day I said, well, how much is it? Like, it's killing me. Why can't you just tell me the price? She says $70 a year. Oh, well, why haven't I signed up yet? Like, I mean, because you've never said the price. But Caroline and I are very similar in that Caroline's I only plan on helping about 8 billion people on the planet in regards to have the knowledge on knowing how to sell. You don't have to use it. You just have to know it. And it's not taught at school. Caroline's kind of the same. I just want to help sort of 8 billion have the knowledge of how to, have the ability to give those details out for, easily. And the idea behind it for me, and it works the same with Caroline, is massive numbers. My training is like, coaching with me is $35 an hour. And everyone goes, oh, why is it so low? Because I plan on helping 1 million people this year. Like my boys go, that's $35 million. How are you going to do that? Well, I don't have 1 million lined up. So it's not a problem to deal with yet. But, safety in numbers, help more people. You end up with more of whatever it is you're after.
Yeah. That your tree's fuller than it was last time I saw you. So
it is.
Those are all
that's everyone that's been to business at breakfast this year. All the blue is everyone that's been to business at breakfast this year.
Nice.
So yeah, we're sort of halfway to our goal.
Very good. Very
and
good.
Dr. Veronica is a wonderful. We were able to meet because there was a Saturday morning meeting that she was able to attend. And gosh, she has so many interesting hobbies and things like that. Because we always ask her what's cooking, what's happening in her kitchen, and when we'd see her. But she also does really important collaborative work for the planet, for sustainability, and helping teach people that. So I was fortunate to be on a panel for an event that she hosted, and doggone it, it was very educational. And how else would I have met these super smart people if it wasn't for Veronica? So you want to take it from there, Veronica?
Happy to do that, Caroline. And it's interesting that you pointed out that not only did we meet across the pond, as they say, in terms of using virtual or using tech to communicate virtually, but the fact that you actually went on to be part of a panel that I had. And the background to that, Caroline said we met on a Saturday morning event, but in fact, it was my Saturday afternoon. So hello, everyone, viewers, fellow guests. I'm Veronica Broomes, and I'm based in a city in the north of England that's called Sheffield. And Caroline gave an indication as to some of what I do. And yes, it has to do with sustainability on the planet, but what's more important is that it's especially for people who run businesses, because there's so much talk and terms and terminology about carbon emissions and climate change and net zero and social impact and investment that is positive for the planet, that it can be confusing. If you run a business, you want to know, how can I make some more money? How can I save some money? How can I be innovative? How can I be more competitive? Where are the opportunities for me to upskill the people that I have, but also attract the newer people and skills? And it's a rapidly changing world that we live in. So my business has some innovation in that we have an online platform that allows us to rapidly prepare a report that would tell people what they're doing about sustainability. And sustainability has multiple facets. It includes the environment, so that whether that's how we travel or how we use energy or how we reduce waste, digital business cards instead of changing cards every time we need. When people are able to travel more, when people can have better work-life balance because they're reducing commute, reducing the spend, but it means if they're working from home where appropriate, they can then have more time for themselves. And it's about where the opportunities are to be able to do that and do that in a way that makes business sense. It's not about a nice to have. It's about simply being able to use common sense and some practical tools to be able to unlock what I describe as the potential of integrating sustainability into your business. And the event that Caroline mentioned is also part of what we offer. So this is an online summit, and summit being it's a business event. We have people from different parts of the world, and Caroline kindly co-sponsored one of the part of the day. So we had digital goodie bags, which included the For My Business card. People were able to get discounts on that. But it meant that she also shared on a marketing panel what are some of the ways that her business, as a business owner, she was able to introduce a new service, to monetize it in a different way because it's a subscription rather than a one-off payment, but also to be able to show how she could have widened the reach of her business in terms of the products and services and the customers that she served. So my business serves other businesses primarily, but it also includes not-for-profits. So at present, I do have a client that is a not-for-profit based in the UK, but part of a global organization. And for that client, we would have done a sustainability audit, on-site delivery of training, and we're doing some revision to policy statements. Now, the event where Caroline was on the panel is happening again this year. It is on the 23rd of October, and I'll share that information with our host, Regina. But it means that people are able to come from different parts of the world to share through case studies, but also to learn. And we have a few people who are involved in policy making, who will also be part of fireside chats or roundtables or chairing sessions. So I think that hopefully gives an idea as to what I do in the sustainability support service in my business. And the fact that although I'm based in a particular part of the UK, I'm open and my services are accessible to people across the UK as well as internationally.
Excellent. Wow. An amazing group here. And there are so many different directions we could go. But I think what we'll start with is something that I've experienced that I hope that, and I know a lot of other folks have experienced it, and maybe that you ladies can provide some counsel for. So much of my life, I have lived in communities that would not have a BNI, that would not have a true networking group, maybe more rural communities that didn't have that. Now, obviously, in some of what you're doing, you've overcome that with the online part. But what would you say to folks? How would you encourage, how would you instruct folks who are in that kind of situation to where maybe they've never even heard of a BNI or a networking group? They're living in some place that doesn't have it locally, and so they may not have even heard of the online portion. How do they get involved? How do they raise that awareness? How do they get involved? How do they use that to make a difference in their local community? And feel free to just jump in, ladies.
Do you want to go first, April?
Sure. There's so many different ways, and it really depends on your profession too, I think, because you have tools like LinkedIn, Eventbrite, Meetup, Alignable. So I think it's really important to really kind of like, and everybody knows ChatGPT. Literally, you could say, my profession is X. What are some good ways to network and connect? And it'll tell you. Personally, I'm in Wellington, Florida, which is a suburb of West Palm Beach, Florida. When I got down here, I didn't know anyone. I wasn't from here. My family relocated, and I went to LinkedIn Local. So I became a LinkedIn Local rep before COVID, and we had this big event, and people came in from all over. So that was kind of a catapult then. And I think LinkedIn is one of the best online networking tools we can use. You can see events on there. I think they're very professional. You can go to bni.org or networkleadexchange.org. Visit chambers of commerce, like just go and visit. Sometimes, especially if you're new an entrepreneur, you have a limited budget for where you're going to network. There are a lot of free tools, but at some point, what we have found with our members in Network Lead Exchange, we're getting sometimes more serious referral partners because they show up because they're paying. So there's a balance in between free. And so we're not the most expensive networking group on the market, but we do charge. We want some buy-in. And my hope of these networking groups you visit is you say, it didn't cost me anything because I already got business out of it. I already got an ROI. Yeah. Like I'm a franchisee and that's the best thing I could do. But in general, Eventbrite's another one. You can go on and filter, put your interests. You could say whether it's business, personal. Those are the two main I use. I know some people, Alignable and Meetup, have some, but I'm not an expert in that. But LinkedIn, events and then obviously just one-on-ones. You collaborate, you feel like you got a good connection, and you go on LinkedIn and you can filter. Don't be afraid to like send them a direct message. Let's go have coffee. Just networking and being curious, wanting to help people, and just meeting up, virtual coffee, in-person coffee, whatever that is, has been, and it just grows from there. Who do they know that you need to know?
Okay, now I have to ask you a question. I have been on LinkedIn for years and I have never heard of LinkedIn Local.
It was, I believe it was out of Australia. The story goes where we had all these connections and this young woman, it kind of goes back, I remember.
It was Krikorian? Was it Kat Krikorian? Because I learned from Kat Krikorian.
Yeah, she was just like, why not meet up at a local coffee shop and like everybody's connected around the world, but we're right here. So it became this worldwide LinkedIn Local. And the cool thing, there's a really cool thing that they took away. The first LinkedIn Local I went to was in Fort Lauderdale, and we were all in a room, 50, 60 people. And they said, everybody, pull out your phones, and you could open LinkedIn and you could be in the room and you could see what connections you had that were physically in the room. And then you go, oh my gosh, there's Misty. We've been, and you would connect. So fast forward, COVID happens and all that. And then we go to another live event. I'm super excited. I go to turn it on and the feature's gone. And that's my number one question to LinkedIn is, or maybe someone knows out there.
I think Kat has disappeared. I think Kat has disappeared. She lived in Canberra and it had been around for a while. Then I ended up over there. And because I ran a group, she ran a group, we become big buddies. And then she, like business-wise, and then she moved to Queensland. And recently I've been looking her up, trying to find her, and I can't find her. So unless she got married and changed her last name, like I can't find her. So unless she's disappeared off the planet, but that's funny. And you've made me think, actually, I've been thinking about her in the last couple of weeks, and
we'll track her down together, Misty.
You have a mission.
Hashtag in the
Where is that?
Because even if she didn't start it, she can now be blamed. That's a pretty nice spot to be sitting. It's like all over America, you're like so famous because you invented it. And she was like, oh no,
LinkedIn Local. Yeah, we could bring it back alive.
Yeah.
Never heard of it before. That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you, April.
Yeah. Because you can do the like, for example, I've got a network lead exchange group that I'm working on here in the Savannah, Georgia area. And if we call them stack days. So we have a lane that's very popular, open, HVAC. So I just went to LinkedIn and then put HVAC, and then you can choose location, and you can also choose whether first, second, God bless, first, second, or third connection. And so that's another great LinkedIn tool for connecting with really good people. And of course, if you've got someone that else can make a recommendation for you, all the better when you
Yeah.
see a couple of people in common. So,
Yeah, that's important. Reach out to those folks that are in common and ask
Yeah.
them for that introduction.
you cannot
I want
I'm
to
sorry.
weigh in regards to small towns and getting people out
Please.
because I lived in Canberra, which is our capital, right? And so that's where I learned networking 13 years ago. I started with the Chamber of Commerce. I didn't know anything about it, by the way. I'm a salesman. I had been a salesman for nearly 20 years, between being a barmaid and selling furniture and Apple products, like all these things. And I was deliberately a salesman. I worked in retail and in hospitality. Here I am, 35 years old, and I was doing a diploma in life coaching. Story there, but anyhow, I was doing a diploma in life coaching, right? And one of the components was networking, which I avoided entirely because I didn't understand. I had a bit of a read over, go, I don't understand what any of that means. But I couldn't move to the next section until I'd finished that one bit in the whole chapter of the pup, right? So then I had to go back and really look at it. But the woman who, through the coaching institute that I was doing it, right, the woman who did it, she gave very good instructions on networking, what it is, what it looks like, what to do, how to do it, and everything. So basically, she'd said, hunt Google for your Chamber of Commerce and then look up when they have an event and then, sign up and go to that. Take your business cards, dress nicely, take your business cards, and here's a list of questions. Start asking these questions of people. I literally wrote down the list of questions, put it under my arm, and like the next day was the event. Like it was exactly as she said. It was that easy to find. Now, I found it because I was given instructions, but I'd never heard of it. And I'd been a salesman for 20 years. Now, when I went into that room, I've gone, if I was a mattress salesman now, I would have 200 customers right now. Like I could see that was a secret to all sales. When I sold furniture, I used to say to my boss, I'd say, how do I get hold of a person who's building a hotel? Because all these hotels are going up in Canberra and they need mattresses, bed bases. These things are very standard. They look exactly the same. It doesn't matter what company you buy it from. It's not the same as the furniture. The furniture's got to be specific, to what they're thought was. So we couldn't sell furniture so much, but a bed base is a bed base. And it's exactly the same all over the world. It's the same color. It's the same thing. So I've gone, if I could just find someone who runs a hotel. But that was years earlier. And she said, if you find someone, let me know. I'd like to know how to find them too. But when I went to that networking event, I've gone, if ever I was to run into a guy who's building a hotel, it'd be here. Like, here's the room of people who literally, the whole point of it is to go out and listen to what other people sell. I thought, if I was selling mattresses, I just go, so I sell mattresses to people who who don't sleep well at night. And I said, I reckon I would have picked up 200 customers in an instant because everyone would have said, I don't sleep very well. I don't sleep through the night. Oh, it's probably a mattress because I'm a salesman, right? It's probably a mattress. Let's not worry about it. It's probably a mattress. Is it more than 10 years old? Yeah, I think it is. Oh, it's that. I would have just sold it. And but that's because I had instructions. And I'm looking going, well, how come I'm in retail and hospitality? I've never heard of this. It's because it was for the business people, it was the professional businesses like the accountants, the lawyers, the financial planners, mortgage brokers, real estate agents. That's who it was for, and they brought it out. It wasn't for the entrepreneurs and the creatives, the entrepreneurs, the artists. It didn't start there. So having moved from Canberra where, then I went around and hunted down networking events. So discovered BNI and all these other ones, and then ended up running Business at Breakfast and going to all these other ones. Simon 3 years ago decided we were moving to Chinchilla, Queensland. Now, Chinchilla is 4 hours west of Brisbane, so we're headed towards the desert. It's 8,000 people. Okay, there's 2 supermarkets, there's a swimming pool, there's a Domino's, McDonald's, KFC, and there's a movie theatre. That's it, right? There is no shopping centre here. It's not that big. So I was here for 2 years, still running stuff online, going, you should probably go out and speak to some locals. But I met a lot of people all over the world. Then I decided to join the Chamber of Commerce, who don't have networking. So I've been a member of the Chamber of Commerce for 2 years. For what point, I'm not really sure what goes on over there. But I pay my membership every year, and I've never met a single person. And so to the point of people in small towns is honestly, I think they're more in that line of they don't even know that it exists in the first place.
Exactly.
So they might know of LinkedIn, they might know of Facebook and Instagram and think, God, I'm supposed to be doing some social media stuff. But literally, they don't know
Mhm.
about networking. They don't know about this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think the requirement is more of people like us who are now aware of it to go out and start to, it requires more work, but start to pull them into things that we're doing to get them known by more people. Because they
I live in
just,
a town of
you don't-
3,000.
yeah,
And I had a real estate agent stop me and say, we should do one of your groups on Tabby. And I was like, really? And she's, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, do you think? And she's like, I think. So we'll see what happens if it comes to that. But if you're out there and you think you're in a small town, so networking groups just aren't available, contact one of us because we will definitely help you. What's your area like, Veronica? Is it?
I'd say it depends, Caroline. So thanks for asking, because as I listened to the discussion around being in the room in terms of networking, I'd say that maybe 15, 20 years ago, I would have felt, oh, I needed to do that. Because in the early noughties, I actually migrated to the UK. I used to live in Sheffield as a postgrad student decades ago, but I returned to the UK and I was in London for many years from the early noughties. And because of that, yes, I used to have lots of breakfasts through BNI. And I vowed that not anymore. So I did that maybe 2 years. And I've had enough of early morning networking and breakfast. So I occasionally would go to a networking event in the mornings, but I'm not into the regular groups, such as those that you meet on a regular basis. However, I am hooked on using technology, reducing my travel time, and being able to network however often I'd like to. So, for example, I'm on this call today. Caroline mentioned how we first met. In the UK, I do go to face-to-face events. So this is not a local chamber. This is a national organization that's called the Federation of Small Businesses. And in effect, it's for people who run small businesses, as the name suggests, but that can also include people who are self-employed or sole traders. So you get a mix of people. And it has some advantages in terms of policies or a hub that you can access for templates if you're growing a business, or you can even call up a line to get some legal advice and have someone return your call once you specify what it is that you're looking for. So there are lots of benefits and there's some amount of comfort to be part of that organization, the Federation of Small Business, the FSP. But what is also advantageous is being able to do the follow-up. And over the years, I've learned that a key to any meetup or any gathering is the follow-up. Because I used to go to meetings, I collect lots of cards and organize the business cards, and I'm following up on several years later. Many of those people I haven't called. And it's interesting that today, just earlier today, I was on a masterclass about LinkedIn, and it was pointed out that we do need to do, or it was suggested that we should be doing more direct messages, more DMs. So when I heard someone earlier making that comment, it was on my list of things to do, but it's actually reiterated the fact that I need to be taking some action because I have thousands of connections. But I think in many ways I'm limited by geography or those that I meet up with often, and the others are just connections that I'm not engaging with. And so I think in terms of networking and collaboration, it's important that there's engagement. Just today, again, I also had a follow-up meeting with someone I've known for a number of years, pre-pandemic. We would chat from time to time, but the reason we had this follow-up call today is that we met at an in-person event a few weeks ago, and we said, well, we haven't spoken for a while. And our businesses are in different stages and we've had different experiences. So we were sharing that. because we've had some pivots in our respective businesses, but we wouldn't have known that. And it was bouncing ideas. And at the end, I made some suggestions because he does a newsletter and he was saying, yeah, he started doing some of that. So he had some suggestions as to how I can help his business. And he also was suggesting, oh, well, there's someone you should speak with. I got a name because of the fact that that person is a connector. And I was explaining for our one-day summit in October, we're looking for more sponsors. So we need to be able to do that less than 2 months away. But it's just that it's important that we remember that it's not only what happens when we meet for that first time or we meet occasionally in a formal environment. It's so important to do the follow-up. And sometimes the follow-up may not happen initially or soon after, but I think we should never think, oh, it's too late to follow up. Oh, it's 2 years ago. No, it's 2 years ago, but it could be, it's been a while. Yes. And
Yep.
maybe someone will respond to that because it happens to be a good time to do that. And just to wrap up my comments about collaboration, I'd say that it depends on what you're doing and where you are, because whether you're new to an area or you've been living there for a while, it's likely that there'll be people who have similar interests. It could be a hobby, or maybe they have their parents and they go to schools or their parents' events. And sometimes those collaborations can actually open lots of different doors. And I'd say don't ignore voluntary organizations, so people who may be volunteering or involved in charities. I do have a voluntary hat that I wear as a member of Rotary International. So I'm a Rotarian through, in the UK, we have a direct hub. So this is one that operates more or less virtually, and you're a direct member rather than in a geographic club. But many years ago, I used to be a member of a traditional Rotary club. And with Rotary, you're able to go to other Rotary clubs. Likewise, if you're a Toastmaster, you can visit other Toastmasters clubs. So I would say that it's important to think maybe a bit outside the box in terms of how you engage and how you connect. So it's not only around business interests, it can be other interests or other areas where there's synergies.
Yep. Like
Excellent.
pickleball seems to be the thing these days.
Yeah.
Yes.
Never underestimate being a visitor. Even if you think it's just not for me networking, go and visit, because you don't know what can happen there. I've sat meeting after meeting, week after week. This gentleman would stand up and ask to meet a particular person, and a visitor came in. They didn't join the group, but said, "That's my brother-in-law." So they were able to finally make that connection for this other gentleman. So the value is immense of just popping in and saying hello and looking around the room and saying, well, those people can't do anything for me. Rah, you haven't learned everybody they know yet. So,
It's like, you've not learned what you're doing here yet. It's not about that.
Yeah. So even in the smallest of communities, I've heard this too. Oh, we know everybody and we know what everybody does. And this was pointed out. Ivan Meisner has told this story multiple times, and it was the early days of BNI where it was I believe a chapter in Arizona, and this gentleman was there. His daughter was part of it, but he lived in a wee little town in Montana. And he said, would you come and help us do one there? And when they got the people together, they're like, tell the guy, what are you doing this? We already know each other. And this was the big thing. But are you passing business to one another?
Yeah.
And they weren't. So when you actively get together with the focus of collaboration and I was a featured speaker today. It's a part of my bio. Is my husband calls me a lifelong cheerleader since I was 3 years old. I love seeing people win, and there are more people. April's I know is like that, and Misty is like that. Veronica's like that. Regina, you wouldn't do this if you weren't like that.
Exactly.
And I will say, if I could just add to the networking, I'm going to a big event tonight, and it's called Networking Beast, and it's free. He sponsors it by sponsors and whatnot. I've been in business development for many years, where I would go out and hunt for the sales team and bring it back. When you go to networking events, don't talk to the people you know. Work the room and work the art of the pass off. And this isn't a pass off. I was telling my networking members the other day, like, you got to coach them. I said, look, if I'm there, say, hey, have you met April? I'll follow up with you next week. We'll do coffee. Because if you get in a room and someone's an introvert, they're going to hold you in that corner and they're going to like grasp onto you and talk. You've missed this whole opportunity. So you want to be nice. You want to be friendly. You're not trying to be rude, but spend a few minutes, get their card, and then follow up.
Yeah.
So just
Based on what you said,
in the
April,
moment, you have to just work that room.
based on what you've just said, April, work the room and what Veronica said in regards to follow up. So, as a sales trainer, I'd like to know at what point do you break it so that then no one wants to even consider buying from you? And is it possible to get that back? So I would be nightmare at networking events and literally go in and go, oh, so excited to be here. Like, haven't been to this group before. Have you been before? Yes. And what do you do? I work at the Commonwealth Bank. And what do you do? I work at the Commonwealth Bank. And what do you do? Do you all work together? Okay, so the goal here is to collect as many cards as you can as fast as possible. So I'll give you all mine. You give me all of yours. Now branch out. And they're
Now
like,
branch.
oh, God, right? And so I'm
Right.
a nightmare. So I just go, we're just here to collect cards. Just swap, 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 right? All the things that they say you're not supposed to do at networking, that's what we're doing, right? And what would happen is I would leave. Whenever I would leave, last one to leave, the first one to leave, it made no difference, right? And I would get, and I carry this everywhere, my trusty Bluetooth keyboard, right? And I would sit in the car. The way I see it is until you've followed up, that event isn't finished. And if you plan on following up when you get home, it's never happening. So I would sit in the car with my keyboard and I would write to each person. Let's say I call it was the, innovation community, right? That's the subject line, innovation community. I'd put in April's address. Hi, April. It was great meeting you at the innovation community tonight. Just wondering how many business cards did you collect? Of course, my signature block sits at the bottom. And then I would copy that and I would paste that to everyone. Let's say I collected 15 cards or 30 cards. I would send that to everyone, take me about 30 minutes, right? I had people leave and go, oh my God, like they'd write back to me, oh my God, did you meet that woman too? She frightened the shit out of me. Like, I collected 7 cards, you got 15. Like, oh my God, I was so frightened. I didn't know what I was doing. I wrote back and go, I was that woman that frightened the shit out of you. 7 is a great place to start. Well done, you. And they write back and they say, you're the only one that's followed up with me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
you're the
The
only
fortune's
one
in the follow-up.
The 14
It
days
is.
of follow-up.
all
Yes.
in the follow-up. You can fix everything in the follow-up, but it's knowing how to follow up.
Right.
And that's the key thing, and how to get them to talk to you. I'm sure we've all received those LinkedIn messages that says, oh, hey, I thought we should have a meeting so we can work out how to, work together. Work together? I could be a nutcase. Like, why would you not want to know who I am first? And I get pretty much the idea of that they've never looked at my profile to know that I'm a sales trainer and know what that means, and that I do stuff in networking. So you get that idea that you've never looked into me and you want to collaborate with me. I could be truly nutty. So, I can say, well, I think it'd be nice if we just got to know each other first, because I could be in that case. You may not want to work with me at all. Oh,
The old, no, we don't show up to buy, we show up to meet. So if you're really a networker, you're there to build a
that's right.
relationship.
So
Not
I teach
sell,
in
not buy.
class. Yeah. Stuff
Yeah,
has changed. Because of Google, everything has changed. Because phones now have all these contact details in it, everything has changed. The old school way, before we had Google, and when we had the handheld phone where you just picked up the receiver, you didn't know who was calling, right? In that world, you had to just fast track everything, get the whole conversation to where you wanted it to be now. Because it's like when someone walks into a retail store, sell as much as you can to them this moment, because you will never see them again or may never see them again. They're certainly not coming back and remembering you, right? At a pub, sell them as much as you possibly can before they leave. They may never come back again on your shift, so just make that happen. But
So we've had to pivot.
Right, that's right. But for the rest of everything else, because of
We
this,
got savvy. You
we
don't
have
get
to,
tired of it.
so knowing how to do it, I think, is important. So I wrote down a few things in regards to following up.
So Misty, could I put you on hold for just a second on that? Because we are at the point of doing our wrap-up round. So I'd like you to share those as part of your wrap-up round comments. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to call on Carolyn to run our wrap-up round. And she's going to call on each of you, herself included, to share your final thoughts on collaboration and your contact information. Okay. And while you're doing that, I will put your contact information out online. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks. All right, y'all. The link that Regina's going to put out there is my digital business card. So if you have that, I can never hide from you at all. So, and Misty made a reference to how we used to talk on the phone. I am from that era. I am from the 1900s. You can call me. I have no problem talking on the phone or text because I'm on the go a lot. So email is the last thing. But get a great tribe because I'm so excited about this group that we're building here in Savannah, and it's skewing really young, and I'm learning so much from them. And they ask me questions like, what should I avoid doing? Tell me some things that you've done that you wish you didn't do. So anyways, it's really good. You can learn from everybody, have mentors, and it's a very powerful thing for your business. And like you were saying, personal hobbies and things. So find a good tribe, find good people, and you'll find more. Once you find like attracts like, so it'll be a good time. So Veronica, do you have a quick wrap up?
Yeah, I would say consistency in the follow-up, because when you're collaborating, and I'm guilty of that, I may have it on my list of things to do or good intentions and don't ever get around to do it. Or I am doing it frequently for a few weeks or maybe even a few months, and then life gets in the way. So I think it's so important that one consistently seeks to find some consistency in terms of that follow-up as well as that engagement. And in terms of the engagement, whilst I said that the follow-up is important, I think it's also key, or what is also important is knowing when to pause or when to no longer pursue. Because there are times when you can be going after what you think may be opportunities, and there isn't that mutual interest. And so maybe it could be that you don't know what else is happening in that person or the people's lives, and therefore it's not the appropriate time. And so you can step back and then maybe come back sometime later. And sometimes that sometimes later never happens. But it's because life gets in the way. And so I think it's being organized, following up with collaborations, and also saying, who else would you suggest that I speak with? Because sometimes that can be one of the most powerful questions that you can ask. Who else would you suggest that I speak with?
Good one. That's
Love that.
awesome. Thanks for being
And
here.
your contact information, Veronica, will you share verbally some of your contact
Yes,
information? I put it into the chat.
Yes, happy to do that. I've shared well, of course, there is a priority around the 23rd of October because it's the online summit for sustainability. So if it's on LinkedIn on the events page, so if you look at online summit for sustainability for small and medium enterprises, SMEs, and you look 23rd of October, that will come up. On Instagram, I'm at Your Sustainability Partner. There is a Facebook page which is linked with the Sustainability Monthly, which is a recent newsletter that has been started, and it's also on Substack. So I've put those links, but once you find one of those links, it means that it's easy to connect with the others. And LinkedIn is probably my go-to place for lots of collaboration at this time.
Can't lose LinkedIn, that's for sure. Misty, what's your quick wrap up?
About the follow-up, right? There's two ways to follow up. You can follow up if it's a business card follow-up, right? It's just knowing how to do it. If it's a business card follow-up, you've clearly met them at some point, even if you don't know who they are. The follow-up is so simple. You just write an email that says checking in, and then you write and say, just checking. I haven't checked in on you for a while, just making sure you're still alive. It's amazing what comes back from that and the conversation that starts. But in regards to collaboration, we're connected to thousands of people like all the time. You look at your LinkedIn, you've probably got more than 1,500, 1,000 sitting on LinkedIn. We don't know who they are. So here's my follow-up to connect with people that's not, we should meet so that then, we can see if we can collaborate, or just we should meet. I used to try that and say, we've been connected for a while. We should just have a one-to-one so we can find out. And they go, why? Why do you want to know? So here it is. It's all to do with YouTube. You write to someone and say, we've been connected for a while. I don't think that we've met. Just wondering, do you have a YouTube channel? I'd like to subscribe. It is amazing how fast people will talk to you when you ask to subscribe to their channel. And then you subscribe, and then you write back and say, I'm subscriber number whatever. Tell them something about their channel. I like you've got a bio. I notice you don't have a bio. I was like subscriber 3. The first 100 is hard to get. I don't know. Find something so simple. And if you have a YouTube, say, like just compare it to yours. I found this bit hard, but hey, you're like exceeding me. There's my channel. And when you both find out you've got YouTube channels, you've got something in common. Well, if you've got YouTube and I've got YouTube, clearly we're in business. Hey, we should catch up. It's amazing how much people want to chat to you.
Nice.
When
Love
That
that.
is brilliant. I love that. It's a great
Yeah.
question.
That is great.
All right, April.
I want to start with, I heard this from someone, networking is one letter away from not working. So for anybody out there that says, I don't want to network, you got to network. Whether you're looking for a job, growing a client, I'm teaching my kids how to network. And they say, Mom, do you know everyone? I'm trying. I joined myself. I got a guy, gal. So I would say be that go-to person that they say, who do you trust? Build your trusted network. And all the networking I've done, what I'm enjoying most right now is going back to the basics. I did a post today on Facebook, and it is the old school directory binder. And I took thousands of cards and I said, who's the 12 people I would want at my dinner table? Who's the 12 people? Who's local? Who's internet? And I really just filtered. I filtered, and I'm old school. I like paper. And I have their pretty little cards. Mine has my digital for my card on it, so they can scan it. Carolyn gave me that. I would say what we're doing is we're building groups, and I can help you where you can monetize, like Carolyn and I, building local, but I sell them as well, because then you pick your people. You know, if you join other groups, you have to go into their network, and that may not be the realtor you want. So if you want to be that point guard and you want to really evolve from there, and then your circle brings the people they like, I'm finding going back to the grassroots and evolving. Now we're a hybrid. We do online as well. Carolyn and I, all the franchisees worldwide, will get on a call once a month. But I really think with AI, you guys, like, I want to hug the person because I've been tricked. I've been tricked on the other end, and it wasn't even them. And they laugh at me because I'm gullible. But I think there's the worldwide, and using our technology, to Dr. Veronica's point, is great. But I also think there's just value of human interaction and hugs and networking like that. So I would say do a good mix of both. Get out there, visit groups, but think about having your own group as well.
Excellent.
Thanks, Shel. Thank you, Regina.
And Carolyn, would you share, I know you shared a little bit about your final thoughts, but would you share your contact information, please?
Well, sure. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook, and LinkedIn, it's Carolyn McGarry Williams. Same thing on Facebook, Carolyn McGarry Williams. That's MC capital GA, as my brother would say, RRY. So 2 R's. You always had to have the laugh in the middle. And then on X or Instagram, I'm not very active, frankly. I just go there because my kids put stuff there, and that's how I keep up with them. But I'm starting to do better, and I believe it's like Carolyn WMS 321 is X. So,
Okay. Excellent.
y'all can send me notes there, make me more active there.
And like I said, we've posted everything out into the public chat as well, all of your contact information, so folks can look you up. This was wonderful, ladies. I know we could have gone on for a while. You are all so knowledgeable in this area and have so much to offer. Thank you so much, Carolyn, for being our guest co-host today and for inviting this amazing panel. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for a good
Thank you,
time.
Regina. And thank you, Caroline, for the invitation to be part of this amazing
So
conversation.
happy to be with y'all. Thanks, Veronica. Have a good time.
Awesome. All right. And with that, folks, we'll wrap it up. We'd like to say thank you to all of our listeners for joining us here on Collaboration Conversations, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye now.
Bye.